Hello friends, James Corbett here, CorbettReport.com with your thought for the day, March 7th, 2017, and you have no doubt heard in the last few days endlessly all about the wiretapping scandal, the did they, didn't they of Obama and who ordered what, of wiretap of whom, and Trump Tower when. We've heard a lot of accusations and counterclaims, and it's quite a he said, she said tale at this point of different officials claiming different things, and I'm sure you've been following that soap opera. I've seen a lot of light generated by this scandal so far, but not a lot of heat. As usual, one of the only people dropping any actual truth bombs on the conversation is Dr. Ron Paul. And if you haven't seen this video yet, I hope you will. I'll put the link in the show notes, of course. Trump tapped. President accuses Obama of spying on his campaign, where Dr. Paul and his interlocutor go through a number of different points that I think are worth bringing your attention to. But one in particular that I want to focus on today is this point about the whole scandal.
Now, if Obama really did want some, surveillance of the Trump campaign, he's not going to send a memo. He's not going to send an email. Maybe Hillary would have, but he's not going to send an email. But they could do these kind of things, and they would deliberately not. And I keep thinking about back during the Kennedy's assassination. I think 80% of the American people now believe that Kennedy was assassinated by insiders, and probably the CIA was involved. But you're not going to go back and look at the records and find out where Allen Dulles, sent the order out. Okay, this is it. We're going to have this thing to assassinate Kennedy. That's all done, rather quietly. So there's not going to be the evidence there. It's surprising that there is going to be. And right now, the reports are that Trump just might have a paper trail on that. And like you said, that could be big news if that's the case.
All right, excellent points. And first of all, big hats off for exposing the biggest gaslighting of them all. Gaslighting is suddenly this big term, and I'm glad people are discovering it, but here's the biggest gaslighting of all, the ridiculous narrative that we're expected to believe and are constantly being told that, of course, Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone nut, and if you don't believe that, you're crazy, like the vast majority of the American public. So thank you that someone within, a million miles of Washington, D.C. has the guts to point out, yeah, most of America knows by now it was not Lee Harvey Oswald acting alone, and the CIA had something to do with the killing of the president. I'm glad someone can actually state that plainly. But secondarily, I think it's an extremely important point. There does not need to be some sort of wiretap order. The only thing that would shock me about this whole scandal is if there was some sort of signed, sealed note or letter from Obama, please wiretap Trump and the Trump Tower, because there doesn't need to be. We already know this. They are already listening, whether or not there is an order or not. And we know this from multiple sources, but I will direct your attention back to a story that I did 4 years ago now about the AP spying story. Do you remember that? Probably not, because this dropped in May of 2013, just before Snowden came out with his quote-unquote revelations about the NSA spying scandal that blew up into a whole different thing. But just before that, you might not remember, the big story at that time was the AP spying story. And the press suddenly cared about the NSA and wiretapping and spying because, oh, they can do this to journalists. They can do this to us, this saintly priest class that's special and should be protected in special ways that the ordinary public shouldn't be. Oh, no. So they suddenly woke up to this story. And it was in that context that a really interesting tidbit emerged and then immediately was memory holed because no one ever talks about it. But it was there, and I got it here in this video. So please go back and watch the full video for the context. But here's Tim Clemente, CNN's FBI source, dropping a pretty major revelation right in the middle of Aaron Burnett's nightly CNN broadcast.
And Tim, is there any way, now obviously it was a voicemail, they could try to get the phone companies to give that up at this point, but if it's not a voicemail, it's just a conversation. There's no way they actually can find out what happened, right? Unless she tells them.
No, there is a way. We certainly have ways in national security investigations to find out exactly what was said in that conversation. It's not necessarily something that the FBI is going to want to present in court, but it may help lead the investigation and or lead the questioning of her.
So somewhere
we can certainly
it's being
find
digitized, or they can actually get that. Because people were saying, look, that wouldn't be possible. It's pretty incredible what you're saying.
No, welcome to America. All of that stuff is being captured as we speak, whether we know it or like it or not.
Note to self, as Deb Farrick just said here, yeah. All right, thanks very much.
All right, again, please watch that full video for the full context of that. But that was a major revelation. And I'm telling you, the NSA whistleblowers that we all know in the alt media, themselves, having been out of the NSA for several years at this point, themselves saw that broadcast and go, oh, well, that means that Salt Lake City's online and already functioning, even though they said at the time that it wasn't, and they're scooping up everything and they have access to it. They can go back weeks in the past to listen to conversations that had already taken place that were not specifically being wiretapped, because they are scooping it all up. There does not need to be some specially signed memo that all gift wrapped and delivered like that. So I think looking for that memo might be part of the red herring here in this story, as if this is some special thing that was specially done to Trump Tower on this special day. No, this is par for the course for the NSA. It is what it does, and they admit it. And again, there's follow-up videos within this video where Clemente confirms and repeats the next night. Yeah, no, I meant that. Yeah, they really can do that. They can go back and do that. So that's been doubly confirmed. And even on top of that, even before the Salt Lake City data center and all of the latest gadgets got online, of course, the NSA was already spying on all the major politicians, including not just President Obama, not in 2016 or 2012 or even 2008, but in 2004 when he was still running as a candidate for Senate. Yeah, the state Senate in Illinois, he was already being specifically listened to by the NSA, a point, again, confirmed by NSA whistleblower Russ Tice. I played a clip of that in episode 312, Obama, A Legacy of Ashes. Was Barack Obama targeted by this?
Yes, he was. As a matter of fact, that was in 2004, probably late summer time frame. And he was a candidate for senator. He'd already won his primary in Illinois, and that's when I saw, Barack Obama's name.
So there it is. We already know that everyone of any political substance or is already being listened to before they even get anywhere near a center of power. That obviously applies to Trump and everyone else, and there does not need to be a specially signed order now that we know that it is up and running, the complete and total dragnet. So again, the only thing that would shock me out of all of this is if some memo does actually emerge. Anyway, you can get more on that conversation, the complete conversation with Russ Tice about the NSA spying in interview 685 up on the Corporate Report homepage. And that, again, the link will be in the show notes. But I think another thing to draw our attention to in all of this brouhaha that's going on right now is aptly pointed out on Twitter by Sal the Agorist. Donald Trump is complaining about the government spying on him after he called Edward Snowden a traitor for exposing government spying. That's none of my business. A good point to bring up. And yes, just to refresh our memory, yes, Donald Trump did actually say that they should kill the traitor, kill Edward Snowden for his revelations. Again, whatever kind of psyop Snowden ultimately is, CIA Snowden, still, the narrative is here for merely spilling the beans about the fact that the NSA is listening on everyone. Snowden should be killed. But tap me? Tap my special privileged presidential phone? Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. So what goes around comes around, and I have zero sympathy or empathy for anyone in the political game who plays this political game and gets burnt by it, because this is how government operates. This is what it is meant to do. This is what it does. So perhaps a good summary of this, IENTJ up on Twitter. I am an anarchist. Tyrants wiretapping each other, spying on each other like buffoons with opposite colored faces. I don't care. Well, I don't care about the special privilege of the godly government class that are, you can't listen to the government people. You can listen to literally every single other person in America and no one will even bat an eyelid. But the idea that you are also listening to Trump Tower, that's insane. That's outrageous. I can't stand for that. Oh, God. Anyway, this is the real story. They are already listening to everything. It does not require a memo. There does not have to be any paper trail on this. And if there is one, I'll be gobsmacked by that. So thank you to Dr. Paul for bringing that point up and many other points in this video. Again, I'll direct you to it. But I think there's a much bigger story here that we have to be getting at, folks. It's not just about the godly class getting tapped. It's everyone. Everyone. James Corbett, CorbettReport.com.